Cujo, based on the 1981 novel by Stephen King. The film released in theaters in 1983. Stephen King got the idea for the story because his motorcycle mechanic's dog, a big St. Bernard, would always be growling at him. The mechanic said the dog never behaved like that around anyone else. I guess Stephen King is just a scary dude. Out in the country, a cute bunny emerges out of its hole, and a St. Bernard starts chasing it. The good news, the rabbit gives a good chase and gets away. The bad news, the dog's barking startles some bats in their nest, and he gets bitten, ultimately contracting rabies. Cut to a young boy, Tad Trenton, who's afraid of the dark, getting ready for bed. He thinks a monster is in his closet. We find out the father, Vic Trenton, works as an advertising agent currently for a children's breakfast cereal. A family friend, Steve Kemp, helps them out with repairs around the house, fixing furniture, etc., who the wife, Donna Trenton, behaves nervous around. Because, of course, she's sleeping with him. Because, of course, that's what they do. I guess there's something going on in the marriage. We never find out, though. Vic needs the front tire fixed on his Jag, and the mailman gives him a tip about an independent mechanic, Joe, out on a local farm. When they go to check him out, the St. Bernard from the opening scene appears, and we're introduced to Cujo. Donna is worried, but is assured Cujo is friendly. Yeah, they all say that. Hey, that teddy bear looks familiar. At home that night, they look for monsters in Tad's room. The next morning, the news reports a recall on the children's cereal Vic advertises for. Something about red food dye, which ends up being a false alarm, but the damage is done. Back on the farm, Cujo becomes increasingly agitated. Donna grows a conscience and decides to break it off with the local stud. He goes after her as her husband just so happens to drive by. Later, picking up Tad from school, Donna's car starts having problems. Cujo ain't looking too hot. He finds a new place to lay, under the dark, dirty, spiderweb-infested deck. Joe's wife won some money and plans to take a trip to visit her sister. Joe tells his friend he plans on going away too, and cheat on her while she's away. Damn, do any of these people actually like who they're with? Donna now has a stalker on her hands. Steve breaks in and forces himself on her when Vic and Tad come in. Vic finds out for sure what's been going on and decides to leave for a few days. He tries fixing Donna's car before he goes, but is unsuccessful. He suggests bringing it to Joe, where he took his car. The next morning, before he leaves with his mother, the young boy on the farm looks for his dog. Cujo, with a small portion of his senses still intact, manages to control himself and not attack the young boy. Vic leaves, leaving Tad a written version of the verse they recite to keep the monsters away. The family on the farm leaves as well. Cujo takes a stroll to Joe's friend's house and mauls him to death, showing us how dangerous this dog can be. Joe goes to visit and finds him and Cujo lying in wait. Donna brings her car to the farm to find no one there, except Cujo. The car fails to start, so now they're stranded with a busted car and a rabid dog. They almost get away when the alternator gives out. With no battery, now they're really stuck. Vic calls the house and is worried there's no answer. The next morning, Cujo makes it clear that he wants them. Donna spots a baseball bat and the mailbox. She figures the mailman will come and get help for them, but the mail is on hold for that address until they get back. The The phone keeps ringing, and Cujo must know Donna wants to use it because he tries busting in to get at it. Terrorized and weary, she manages to exit the car, which is absolutely bonkers after everything that's happened. She gets attacked, and it's an absolutely terrifying scene. The next morning, Tad has a panic attack, has trouble breathing, and Cujo is still waiting. Vic heads back home, worried because he still can't get through on the phone. Steve is still lurking around and slashes up the bed, the pillows, and a picture of Donna. Vic tells the police it was Steve who did it and took them. The detective asks where her car is. At Joe's, so the sheriff says he'll head over to check it out. When he gets there, he's ambushed by Cujo. When the sheriff doesn't report in, Vic heads over there himself. When Tad gets worse, Donna makes the decision to rush the house. She manages to get a few strikes in with the baseball bat. When it breaks, Cujo leaps and lands on the splinters. She finally gets to the house to try and save Tad, who at this point has stopped breathing. She manages to save him, but Cujo isn't finished. Do they get out alive? Spoiler, yes they do. I have to say, the side story with the family feels like a lot of fluff to pad out the runtime. It has little to do what the movie is named after. They go on about Vic's job with the breakfast cereal. That just says the father works a lot. Tad reads out the monster words his dad gave him when Cujo traps them in the car. And Steve causes some confusion when they're looking for Donna. That's about all the connection the side story has to do with Cujo. The one thing that really bugs me is that Vic shows up to the farm not 1 second before everything's already been resolved. It may have been more effective if the couple tackled the trouble together. Then that might spark the thought of the audience that Vic and Donna may get back together, getting through such an adversity together. That would have been a more impactful ending. I didn't read the book, but now I have doubts. Will the couple reconcile? Will they stay separated? Who knows? The rest of the movie, the meat, is very well done. Cujo himself is absolutely terrifying, and the best bit of animal acting I've seen in a film since Chim Chim in 2008's Speed Racer. And get this, Cujo was played by 4 St. Bernards, each trained to perform specific tasks. A black Labrador, Great Dane mix in a St. Bernard costume, several mechanical dogs, and a stuntman wearing a dog costume. I wouldn't be surprised if Tad, Danny Pintaro, was genuinely terrified filming this movie, because he looks it. Dee Wallace, playing Donna, does a great job as well. It's like you're there with them, stuck in that little car. They both radiate that fear into the audience. Overall, most of everything in this movie doesn't go well together, but it's worth getting through that filler to see the horror film underneath.